What if the strongest person in the room never wanted anyone to know they were the strongest? In a world where everyone fights to stand above one another, Kiyotaka Ayanokōji chooses the opposite. He hides his intelligence, suppresses his emotions, and allows others to underestimate him. To most people, he appears ordinary, almost invisible. But beneath that quiet exterior lies one of anime's most calculating minds. From Classroom of the Elite, Ayanokōji isn't just a genius. He's a character who challenges the way we think about power, identity, and human nature. He rarely seeks recognition, avoids unnecessary attention, and believes that people often reveal more through their actions than their words. At first glance, he may seem cold or emotionless, but his philosophy isn't simply about manipulation. It's about understanding the world as it truly is, not as we wish it to be. He recognizes that people are driven by ambition, fear, pride, insecurity, and the desire to be accepted. Rather than judging those emotions, he studies them. While others react emotionally, Ayanokōji observes. While others rush to act, he waits. And while others chase status, he quietly positions himself several steps ahead. His greatest weapon isn't strength. It isn't intelligence alone. It's the ability to remain calm when everyone else is controlled by emotion. So the real question isn't whether Ayanokōji is a genius. The real question is, what can his philosophy teach us about ourselves? To truly understand Ayanokōji, you have to understand where he came from. Long before he entered the advanced, nurturing high school, Ayanokōji was raised in a place known as the White Room, a secret educational facility designed to create the perfect human being. It wasn't a school in the traditional sense. There were no friendships, no childhood memories, no freedom to make mistakes, only relentless training, impossible expectations, and the belief that human potential could be engineered through discipline and pressure. From the moment he was old enough to learn, Ayanokōji was taught that emotions were distractions, weakness invited failure, and results were the only thing that mattered. Children weren't valued for who they were. They were valued only for what they could accomplish. Many students broke under the pressure, others gave up entirely. But Ayanokōji endured. He adapted to an environment where every decision, every conversation, and every challenge was another test of survival. Over time, this shaped the philosophy that defines him throughout Classroom of the Elite. He learned that emotions can cloud judgment, that revealing your true abilities can make you a target, and that the person who understands others while revealing nothing about themselves holds the greatest advantage. To many people, this makes Ayanokōji seem cold, but his detachment wasn't something he chose. It was something he was taught. The White Room didn't simply train his mind. It shaped the way he viewed people, relationships, and even himself. One of the most fascinating things about Ayanokōji is that he rarely changes people through speeches. He changes them through their experiences. Instead of telling someone they're capable of more, he places them in situations where they have no choice but to grow. He pushes people toward their potential without taking the spotlight for himself. Some characters become more confident because of him. Others become stronger after confronting their own weaknesses. Even those who oppose him are forced to rethink how they view themselves and the world. This reveals one of Ayanokōji's most important lessons. Growth rarely comes from comfort. People often discover who they really are only when they're forced to face fear, failure, or uncertainty. Ayanokōji understands this better than anyone because he lived it. But should we live exactly like Ayanokōji? Probably not. His emotional discipline is admirable. His patience is extraordinary. His ability to remain calm under pressure is something many of us can learn from. But his story also shows the cost of suppressing every emotion. Without trust, relationships become transactions. Without vulnerability, connection becomes difficult. Without expressing who you truly are, even success can feel empty. Perhaps that's why Ayanokōji is such a compelling character. He represents both the incredible power of self-control and the loneliness that can come when control becomes your entire identity. Maybe the lesson isn't to become emotionless. Maybe it's to master your emotions without losing your humanity, to think before reacting, to observe before judging, to stay calm when others panic, but also to remember that strength isn't measured only by what you can endure. Sometimes, true strength is allowing yourself to trust, to care, and to grow beyond the environment that shaped you. Because in the end, the White Room created a perfect survivor. But Ayanokōji's greatest challenge isn't surviving. It's learning what it truly means to live. As we reach the end of Ayanokōji's story, one question still remains. What truly makes someone intelligent? Is it a high IQ, perfect grades, the ability to solve impossible problems, or is it something far more difficult to master? Ayanokōji isn't considered one of fiction's smartest characters simply because he can outthink his opponents. What sets him apart is the way he combines intelligence with patience, emotional control, observation, and long-term strategy. While others focus on the move in front of them, Ayanokōji is already considering the consequences of the next 10. He rarely acts out of impulse. He studies people before making decisions. He understands that every person has motivations, fears, ambitions, and weaknesses, and that understanding those traits is often more valuable than possessing knowledge alone. His intelligence isn't loud. It doesn't demand attention. In fact, his greatest advantage is that most people never realize they're being outplayed until the game is already over. That's why many fans place Ayanokōji among the smartest characters in fiction. It's not because he's flawless or because he always has the answer. It's because his intelligence extends beyond academics into psychology, adaptability, manipulation, and an extraordinary ability to remain composed when everyone else loses control. But perhaps the most interesting part of Ayanokōji isn't how smart he is, it's what his intelligence cost him. The White Room gave him the ability to survive almost any situation, but it also left him struggling to understand ordinary human connection. His greatest strength became his greatest burden. Maybe that's the true message behind his character. Intelligence can win games. Discipline can build success. Self-control can overcome chaos. But without trust, empathy, and genuine human connection, even the sharpest mind can feel isolated. So before this video ends, I'd like to leave you with one final question. If you possessed Ayanokōji's intelligence, but it meant sacrificing the ability to experience life the way everyone else does, would you still choose it? Sometimes the greatest question isn't whether we'd become as intelligent as Ayanokōji. It's whether we'd be willing to pay the price that made him who he is.